This meeting is being recorded.
Hi, Ekta. Hi, everyone.
Hi. Hi, Sharmishta. Am I audible?
Yes, yes, absolutely.
You need to be a little loud, Sharmishta, I guess.
Okay. Is this fine or the same?
Yeah, this is better. You want to check some slides? You want to share some slides or check?
Gavesh? So Gavesh will be sharing the screen.
Yeah, I can share the screen. Hope I am
Yeah.
audible.
Yes,
Yes,
yes.
you are. Mahima, can you withdraw the, yeah. Gavish, you can just check. Hi, Saurabh. Thanks for joining.
Hello, Ekta. How are you?
All good, Saurabh. Thanks for asking. Hope all well at your end.
All good. All good. Thank you.
Great, great.
Aurora from Concentric.
Hope my screen is visible.
Yes, it is.
Yes, Gavesh.
Still, you are able to see the presentation, right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Hey, hi team. Good afternoon.
Hi, Mr. Jitendra. Hi.
Good afternoon, Jitendra. How are you?
Hey, hi Saurabh. Good afternoon. All well,
Hi,
sir.
Jitendra.
Awesome.
Hi, Sharmishta, can I start?
Yes, please.
So, hello everyone. Very good evening. Myself, Ekta Dubey, and on behalf of the Analytics and our partner Simply Learn, we welcome you all on a very interesting webinar, which talks about reimagining the tech workforce in the age of AI. So, before we start this webinar, there are a few guidelines that I would like to highlight and make you people aware of. I would request all the attendees to be on mute and keep your videos off as well while the speakers are taking the session. We would be putting the speakers on the spotlight so that you can view the speakers and hear them out. Of course, we're going to encourage question and answers after the panel discussion where attendees can ask the questions to our panelists. The guidelines are you can raise your hands, unmute yourself, introduce yourself, and put your question to our panelist. At the same time, we would love to keep the chat box engaging with your questions. You can put your questions there and we would be taking it from there. And so on that note, thank you so much everyone for joining dot on time. Now I would like to invite Sharmishta from Simply Learn to take it from here. So thank you, Sharmishta, for joining and the platform is all yours. Thank you.
Sure. Thank you, Ekta. Hello, everyone. Good afternoon and good evening. I am Sharmishta Shah, Regional Marketing Manager, APAC at Simply Learn. And it's my pleasure to welcome you all to our exclusive webinar, Reimagining the Tech Workforce in the Age of AI. Thank you all for joining us today. We are thrilled to have you here. We have an exciting and informative session planned, so let's get started. Before we begin, I would like to take a moment to acknowledge all the participants who have taken the time out to be here with us today. Your presence is greatly appreciated. Today, we will be exploring the evolving digital landscape and the growing excitement surrounding AI. Our goal is to provide you with valuable insights and cutting edge strategies to transform your tech team and fully harness the potential of AI. Now, I would like to introduce our esteemed speakers who will be sharing their expertise with us today. Each of our speakers will bring a distinct perspective and a wealth of invaluable insights to the table. Without any further delay, please join me in giving a warm virtual welcome to our speakers. Vishal Sinha, Head of Big Data Analytics, Platform Architecture at Jio. Trisha Srivastava, Vice President, Corporate Initiatives at Genpact. Sachin Gaur, Global Head, Capability Change Org and Leadership Development at Dr. Reddy's Laboratories. Jitendra Singh, Head of Data Science, Analytics and Innovation at WNS. Saurav Arya, Vice President, Commercial Business at Simply Learn, and Gavesh Muntha, Senior Director, Commercial Business at Simply Learn. Let's begin with an overview of today's agenda. For the first 10 minutes, Gavesh will take us through our presentation, and we will explore how GenAI boosts the impact of AI and examine the AI capability stack, followed by a panel discussion for 30 minutes addressing key topics such as implication of AI on employment and the requisite skills and organizational frameworks for an AI-centric landscape, strategies and ethical considerations in AI development, and the cultivation of AI capabilities alongside cultural shifts. After the panel discussion, we will open the floor for a Q&A session. This will be an excellent opportunity for you to interact with our distinguished panelists and have your questions answered. Please start submitting your questions in the chat box, and we will begin addressing them at the end of our discussion. Next up, we will explore the initiatives of Simply Learn aimed at transforming the upskilling journey at our organization, your organization, through the team's empowerment with digital skills. We look forward to a productive and engaging session today. So with this, I would like to welcome Gavesh. Gavesh, over to you.
Thank you, Mr. And very good evening to everyone. Thanks for your time today. Let me share my screen. And I'm trying to put this on full slide mode. Is it visible for everyone? Mr. Can you confirm that?
Yes, it's all good.
Cool. Got it. Thank you, Mr. again. I think topic is quite visible here, and I am very excited to learn from this panel as we move forward. I believe the impact is not only on the tech workforce, but it is across different roles and industries that it will impact, right? The tech industry, for example, my industry, Simply Learn, we have already adopted certain AI-based implementations that we have done in different functions of ours. And we are doing a lot of pilots and experiments to provide better outcomes for our learners and enterprises that we work with, right? So we believe that AI will reshape the world. That is what our chairman, Mr. Squazman, also talks about. Blackstone's chairman, they are also invested in Simply Learn. In Mr. Squazman's words, while he believes AI will reshape the world, but he also quotes that the timelines and effectiveness of AI implementation will be a major factor in determining the next winners and losers, right? So as Simply Learn, we keep talking to different enterprises across, and in our interactions, we do come across different companies talking to us about different use cases that they are working on. And we have helped many enterprises in those transformations of AI, right? So the key is AI will reshape the world, and the timeliness and the effectiveness, right, is what it will determine the winners and losers, right? So that is what we also believe. Having said that, in one of the researches that we have come across, right, McKinsey doing this research, we have seen the research is all about, okay, my screen is visible. Yeah. So GenAI's economic impact on productivity, right? So while there is, sorry, just a minute, guys. I think my screen is doing something here. Sorry. Hope my screen is visible. Mr. Saurabh, can you confirm that?
Yes.
I'm sorry. Sorry, coming back to this, right? So while there is AI, generative AI is the current talk of the world, right? All individuals or enterprises, everyone is talking about and using in some form and shape. So according to the McKinsey research on economic potential of generative AI, Gen AI will boost the impact of AI by 15% to 40%, right? And we are at the beginning of a journey to understand generative AI's power, its reach and capabilities. So Gen AI's economic impact on productivity, while it is there on different functions, the top 4 functions are listed in this slide. So the first function, customer operations, which is quite evident and we come across a lot of that. So it saves almost 38% of global customer service costs, right? In our discussions with our customers like Dell, HP or Accenture, we kind of come across such use cases and we have helped them, or we have done certain transformation projects for their existing employees, right? And the other function that gets impacted is the software engineering. And that's where 31% of the global software engineering spending in the IT sector is getting saved. So this is a big industry in India, and it is affecting a lot of individuals. And I believe it is in a good way, right? Individuals are leveraging different LLMs here, and we see that individuals are bringing their own AI to their offices. And our enterprise customers like Emphasis or Wipro or HCL are continuously investing in skilling them in different latest AI or generative AI areas. Today, I met one of our automotive manufacturing companies where they are skilling their employees to increase personal productivity, right? While business productivity is something that still a lot of organizations are experimenting and seeing where we have to invest and how we have to do skilling. But personal productivity is at high at this point in time, right? And the third function that McKinsey talks about is the global marketing and sales, which are literally saving 10% of the costs. And I believe it is mostly tilted towards the marketing, right? And sales, I see that there are a lot of AI tools that we are already using, but Gen AI tools are something that we are still yet to encounter in sales. But the other function that we see is global R&D. So that's where close to 12% of cost is being saved, right? So literally this research says that the Gen AI's impact on productivity could add trillions of dollars in value to the global economy. This means the pace of workforce transformation is likely to accelerate, given increase in the potential for the technical automation, right? So that is what we are talking about. But Simplilearn is doing its part. Uh, we have our own AI capability stack that we have implemented. And this pyramid that you are seeing on the screen talks about the bottom to top approach. Here is where at the bottom level, where all the employees are doing different essential Gen AI skills. And also Gen AI ethics is also a very important topic that most of our customers ask about, and we are doing certain skilling in that areas. In the intermediate level, we see a lot of functional areas that need certain trainings or skillings, right? So that's where we have covered all the functional areas like customer service, sales and marketing, software engineering, or data analytics. And top of the pyramid are the deep skilling that we do, which are helping people to building AI products, both from AI infrastructure and AI development perspective. We have programs that outline and help organizations and even individuals to skill themselves. So with this, I'm here to learn more about what industry experts who are on the panel are going to say, and I'm going to learn from them. I would encourage participants to put their questions on the chat while the panel discussion is going on. With this, Saurabh, over to you.
Thank you very much, Gavesh. So this was quite, if you don't mind, you can just stop sharing your screen.
Yes.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you, Gavesh. With that, we'll move to the main agenda of this webinar. My name is Saurabh again, and I head the APAC business for Simplilearn. I will also be moderating this very open and candid discussion with our esteemed panelists that were introduced in the beginning of this session, and try and understand their views on reimagining the workforce in the age of AI. So thank you once again, Trisha, Sachin, Vishal, and Jitendra for being with us today. It's a pleasure. Taking what Gavesh was discussing before, AI and Gen AI are hot topics these days, and from personal emotions to business strategies, these buzzwords are bringing about a whole lot of excitement on one hand, and at the same time, quite a lot of worry on the other hand about the future, right? While AI has been here for quite some time, and it has shaped and reshaped some of the products and solutions that we use on a day-to-day basis, Gen AI, which is considered as a subset of AI, is now turning into a game changer. And we've just saw a few facts and figures in Gavesh's presentation as well. And that is where I would like to start this discussion with our panel members. And I would like to start with you, Vishal. If you can, let's start this discussion from the fundamentals of these topics, right? So if you can help us demystify, or rather simplify, these terms of AI and Gen AI, what has happened so far in these fields and what is in the store for the future, that will be a great beginning for this conversation.
Thanks, Saurabh. Thank you so much. Yeah. So Saurabh, for me, AI means, world is expecting, can machine do the activity which human, generally perform? Can computer, perform the activity which generally do? For example, so we are trying to replicate the brain of human into a machine, so machine can act like a human, right? So we are, for example, and simply, so can machine think like a human? Can we? So we're trying to simulate the brain of a human into a machine so that machine can think like us, can interpret like us, can machine do the reasoning like us, like a human. And we all know computer doesn't have the brain. So whole world is trying to give the brain to the computer with the data, with the algorithm, so that it can work for us, so that it can make a world 3 days a week. Can it save our time? Can it do some activity on behalf of like us? For me, Gen AI is a kind of AI where we are, asking computer just to have a conversation in the computer. We want to give a command to the computer. Hey, computer, can you create a PPT for me? Can you interpret some text for me? Can you get some wisdom from the going through the read the text, and can you give me the wisdom from the data? So that is my asking. It could be any language. So we want to talk to the computer. We want to give the order to the computer, and and do something for me. That is something expectation from the Gen AI. If you see in terms of analytics, the world is trying. If you see, the analytics is 100% dependent on the software development, right away from creating the data pipeline, writing the SQL query API. So world is trying to create a world where I can say, can you give me the month-over-month sales revenue? And computers should be able to, if that is not the data model, data pipeline is not there, computers should be able to create the data pipeline, create the data model, write the API or SQL query, and create the chart for me. That is something what we are looking from the Gen AI. Yes, Saurabh. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that is very insightful, Vishal. And as you rightly mentioned, we are trying to make machines as intelligent as humans. And if you don't mind, like just a follow-up question on that.
Yeah, please.
When we attempt to do something like this, and which we pretty much are, there is always a question of ensuring that the machines will behave as ethically as we expect humans to do, right? So AI ethics or Gen AI ethics is also a large debate that we keep hearing going across in the world. Do you have some thoughts, or can you elaborate on some of the specific strategies or plans that organizations should put, like as all of the organizations are across the world, they are going about the implementation and deployment of AI and Gen AI in their own sweet way? What should be kept in mind from the AI/Gen AI ethics point of view?
Yeah, sure. So first thing about, let's think about the data, right? So Gen AI is, ask is, can you democratize the data? Right. But data is a very sensitive information. So what is the data act policy? So definitely, the ethics is one of the data security, because you cannot expose the data to the everyone, just implementing the data democratization. Only the person who are supposed to look at the data, we have very strong data access policy. Second thing for me, ethics in a layman language, because see, as I said earlier, computer doesn't have the brain. So we are giving the brain to the data. So basically we're training the data. So the training model should not be biased. Because,
Got it.
so as a human, we should not be biased. So whenever we're going to provide the training to the data, it should be very accurate, unbiased data. So these are the things basically, we need to take care, should be very fair with the data while you're providing the training, and you have to transparent to the world how you're training the data. It should be transparent to the world. If I'm going to use the AI model, the model should be exposed to the world. Hey, it should be transparent in terms of training, in terms of data, from where what are your training algorithm, the data security. These are the things definitely we need. Theoretically, a lot of things are there, but technically for me, the data security, the data access policy, the training of the data, again, I'm repeating, and the training model, these are the things we have, and unbiased with the training model. That is very important as ethics for the organization.
Yeah. I 100% agree. Like bias is super important, and we've already seen a few LLMs getting into trouble because of a bias towards a certain gender or a certain skin color and stuff like that. Those are the things that that definitely needs to be managed well. Just on this topic of ethics, Sachin, if I can have a quick reaction from you, because like in your mandate and objective of change management, org development, like it sort of touches your area as well. What are your views about this? AI ethics, Gen AI ethics?
I think two things. One is that this is a very nascent space. Okay, so as the whole space in generative AI is evolving, I think so is the whole. The fault lines of what is ethical versus what is not ethical, that's evolving too. So I don't think any one of us on the panel or anybody else can actually go and claim that they know everything that there is to know about Gen AI ethics. But the things that are important are really, I think Vishal kind of alluded to them, right? The ability to be transparent. Okay, and if you recently this month, OpenAI released their model spec, which is what's the specification of the latest model from OpenAI. Okay, there was another leak on the OpenAI iOS prompt, which is when you use the OpenAI app in iOS, when you type in a query, what is the master prompt that basically takes that query and processes it? So key things really is, and I think Vishal talked about it. I may just kind of add a few things here and there, but I think very clearly, how is your model avoiding biases? Okay, or let me rephrase that. How is your model highlighting where there is a bias? Because ultimately, look, you can go ahead and you can try as much as you want to in terms of avoiding biases, but they're called large language models for a reason. They've been trained on human output. If the human output has been biased, there's very little that you can do to avoid it. However, you can actually go ahead and make sure that the models and their output are highlighted or tagged that they're biased, right? That's one. I think the second piece really is around making sure that you understand what is intellectual property versus what is not. So when an LLM creates something which is derived and built on top of somebody else's intellectual property, how do you avoid any challenges that will come in from people who will question that piece specifically? And the third and the most important piece really is how do you go ahead and how do you train people to ethically use the models, right? Because a model is like a hammer, right? You can go ahead and you can use the hammer to nail to put a nail in a block of wood, or you can go ahead and you can use a hammer as a piece of as a weapon, right? So those are three things, and I'm just kind of parroting what Vishal said. So
Thank you so much, Sachin. I think pretty insightful. At this stage, let's move on to one other very big question associated with AI and Gen AI, and which is, will AI take away jobs? And that is the worry part that I was talking about in the beginning. Like, while there is a lot of excitement, there is an equal amount of worry in a significant portion of our workforce today, that whether AI will take away their jobs. And Trisha, let me bring you into the discussion about this topic. What we were reading in Microsoft's latest AI report, AI at Work report, is that about 45% of the professionals worry that AI will replace their jobs. And given your experience in the consulting and services industry, I would love to hear your thoughts on how do you see the impact of AI on customer service and support roles. There is while there is a lot of worry in a section of the workforce, most of the experts believe that AI will, rather than replacing, they would rather empower human workers, right? So it's all going to be about human AI collaboration as we move along. So I just wanted to hear from you, like, what are your thoughts? Do you agree to this, not agree to this? And specifically in your industry, what do you think?
Sure. Thank you so much. And that's a very, very good question. A question that's like the base of all the questions in the world of Gen AI today, where, Microsoft has launched, there's Chat GPT, there's GPT-4, where AI is talking to AI, you and I are not needed. So, all of these then bring the biggest question in mind as to what is AI going to do to my job? What is it going to do to the market forces? How are things going to shift? So look, let's be candid here. I do, the industry has said there are surveys and reports that have said that there is going to be a certain shrinkage in the number of jobs. And obviously the entry-level jobs, the data entry, the early coding, all of those kind of jobs can get reduced with the coming in of Gen AI and all the other tools along with AI, that help entry-level tool. However, my view is that, it all begins with value creation. So certain jobs will get reduced, but there is going to be a certain value that's going to get created. And with that value, newer jobs come into fray. And let me give you a very simple example for the benefit of the group. We shouldn't complicate things, but look at it simply. In a contact center, call center environment, whenever you call in, you get an IVR message that sort of says that this call is going to be monitored for training and quality purposes, right? Every call that you do make in a contact center gets recorded. Now, the question is what percentage gets monitored for training and quality purpose, right? A very small fraction, very, very small fraction, because there is a human being who's putting on a headphone, who's listening to the calls. In large contact center, that number could be less than 1% of the total volume, okay? Because there's only so much investment one is going to make in people sitting and listening to those calls and understanding customer experience, customer pain point, customer psyche, psychology, all of it. However, with the intervention of AI, with speech to text models, with different analytical models, with voice to text recognition model across languages, this work has become very easy. So now what is happening is that jobs are not getting deleted. There is a larger volume of call that is getting monitored. Through that monitoring, one is understanding the customer behavior. And then the whole market cycle of demand and supply is coming into play. You're understanding a customer pain point. Now you can do a separate project, initiative, and work in that pain point to eliminate that pain point. You are now understanding why certain deductions are happening for certain manufacturers by their vendors, right? Why every invoice has a certain percentage of deduction. Now, with that understanding, with using those analytical tools, there can be a separate team who can do those recoveries for their customers, right? So there is a bigger value generation that is happening. However, at the backdrop of all of this is upskilling and learning and that continuous learning. So all of us who, and there's a common belief that as we enter our 40s, our learning quotient sort of goes down. So that's an alarm for a lot of us across age brackets to upskill. And I'm not saying you guys are at your 40s. You look much younger, but that's our cue, right? To continuously upgrade, upskill, learn more, and be part of this reset that's going to happen in the market and be part of the value creation. So that's my take on it.
Thank you, Trisha. We all take it as a compliment, by the way. So we all look young, which is great to know.
Awesome.
Lovely. So I think in summary, I think what you're trying to say is that rather than worrying about job displacement, there is going to be a role replacement where the humans will start evolving and start doing a higher value added work, while the repetitive and the mundane kind of work will move to machines. As Vishal also mentioned in the beginning, like machines will be trained,
Yes.
more calls will be used for training purposes, and so on and so forth. In fact, I'll like to sort of tell our audience that we also did recently. We concluded a physical roundtable here in Bangalore, and it was a CIO roundtable. Many of the CIOs also alluded on this point that as we move along, the human AI collaboration will lead to humans doing much more productive and higher value added work. So it basically strengthens what we heard very recently as well, right? And Jitendra, now I'll come to you and specifically leveraging your experience in technology and engineering specifically. And we've just heard that AI and Gen AI will automate the repetitive tasks that a lot of developers and testers might be doing at this point in time, and they will all move to higher level of problem solving, hopefully. So according to you, like, how should the tech teams of tomorrow leverage this and adapt their workflows and collaboration styles to maximize the benefit of AI assisted programming or AI assisted testing? So it's a little bit of a specific question on your domain. If you can shed some light on this, please.
Oh, thanks, Saurabh. Pleasure talking to all of you and the audience online. So I'll just start with what probably Teresa said. I'll just summarize by saying that AI will not replace us or will not take away job, but somebody who is using AI probably will take away our job if we are not using it. I think that's the way we need
Very
to
well
put
said.
it.
Yeah.
And then it's the journey, right? If you look at human evolution or let's say Indian industry, because we are all from India mostly, and if I say 25 years back, how many IT professionals were there in India because the world was worried, or even probably Indian banks and Indian insurance companies and so on and so forth were worried that this automation will take away our job. But in hindsight, if you look at now, probably the each industry is 10 times bigger than what it was. And we have probably 10 million IT professionals working in India and serving the world, and probably nowhere job reduction has happened. Every country, if you look at, so I think the simple economic theory is that if you bring in productivity, be it through industrial revolution or through computer or through AI, you basically unlock that much capital in the economy. And hence that leads to higher investment and higher economic activity and hence more job, right? So that's the way we need to perceive it. And hence we all have evolved what we did. At least I'm in industry for 25 years and I can tell that what I did 25 years, nobody does today, right? So either they have moved on or probably they have picked up some other industry trade, right? So that's the way I'll put it on that note. And it relates to what you asked sort of on the software development side or the core activity in the IT world, right? So naturally we have to evolve, but we have to be smart in using the tool in our favor and in a multiple ways, right? Imagine writing a test script in an olden days, right? Each and every use case needs to be defined by somebody. Somebody has to write a script, and then you have to run a test script in a different batch mode or automated way and whatnot, right? Now GenAI is at your disposal. You write your program in a structured way, and probably GenAI knows many more things that probably a tester or a test or a script generator, right? The one who was going to write the test cases for you. Now GenAI is doing way more or a smarter job than us, right? Or if you have put the right comments in your code, and then you are asking GenAI to do the documentation, probably with a click of the button, your documentation is ready for your disposal and probably more thorough because we are not worried how long it is now, right? Because it's generated by a program and you are just having a cup of coffee during that time, right? So those are the elements which is, I would say, low hanging fruits where GenAI is not coming into your core operation. Now take a step back and try to maybe go forward, right? That can it also start programming? My answer is probably not at this stage, right? It will never be, because human needs are always evolving and it will not be able to catch up on that. It will keep catching up with us. So if you are writing now, if I go in the core development side of it, so if you have something in your mind, or if you have a functional requirement written in a Word document or Excel sheet, and you dump it to GenAI, still it will not be able to give you the code exactly what you want, right? But if you are designing your program in a more, let's say, microservices driven, now we call it, that means you are taking a cue from, let's say, automotive industry or aerospace industry, where everything is basically modularized. The more modular your code is, or the program rather is, the more help you can expect from GenAI. I mean, that's my summary statement on the core development side. I think on the fringe side, I answered sort of that it's anyway going to take over, and we can expect anywhere from 30-40% to 70-80% productivity. It all depends how smartly or how nicely you have structured your code for GenAI, because your earlier codes were not written for GenAI. Now you need to really, if you really want to realize the full benefit of it, you have to think from that lens. And I'm seeing even in the data world or the unstructured documents, people can get a question and answer from a document, but the basic question is, was this document created for GenAI? Answer is no. So I think those are the changes, behavioral changes, or the approach in our overall development should be brought in to maximize the benefit. And if we are able to do so, I think we need not to worry about it, because those who are not doing it should worry about it.
Understood. I think that is very clear. Absolutely clear. Jitendra, just one follow-up question to you, and this is a little bit about the evolving org structures and org design. So we are also hearing that there is a role called Chief AI Officer, which is gaining some traction, right? So recently we have heard that NASA has also appointed a CAIO, Chief AI Officer. How do you see this panning out, right? So do you see a separate organization or a separate department taking charge of all the AI development, deployment, implementation, etc., across the organization? Or do you see this AI capability fitting into different parts of the org structure?
Okay, a very good question. So it's more on the implementation side, or how do you safely adopt this technology? So answer is, I think it will depend on the kind of industry or the organization we are dealing with. So for example, if you talked about NASA, so they are more like an end user of the technology in their universe, right? So in those cases, probably you will need a central team who is making sure that things are getting implemented in a right way. There is no data. I think Vishal was hinting about it, and Sachin also talked about it. Data is not getting exposed to the unintended usage, let's say, or things like that. Then there are cases, let's say, where companies are now adopting this technology for their internal productivity, because as we all talked about it, I think Gavesh talked about 40%, 50% productivity in customer experience and 30% in product development or software development. So naturally, there is a huge productivity unlocking possible, and hence the end customers. You can go to a bank, you can go to an automotive company or insurance company. They are not serving anybody through this technology. Rather, this technology is getting embedded into their core products and business processes, and hence you need more like a central team who is making sure that the adoption is at the optimal level. We are not crossing the threshold or taking too much risk in the hurry to outsmart the other guy in the market, right? So there is always a risk out there, right? But when you come to service organization, which is IT industry, I think things are a bit different. Again, depending on the scale of the organization, you may have a vertical BU structure or a strategic business unit, and this function can sit within that, because then you are aligning your basically services, or you are powering your services with GenAI tool. And then you could have still a central team who is looking more inward, looking use cases where you are trying to bring in productivity. So at least this is what I'm seeing in the IT world, that you have a separate team trying to push the internal adoption, and a separate team trying to kind of re-engineer the service offering, which is more now GenAI power. I hope that
and basically, yeah, absolutely. And what you're also hinting at is that it's not going to be one size fits all. Correct. Every organization and every industry will take its own, decision on things like these.
Correct.
And talking about organization, like Sachin, I would love to come to you now. There is something very interesting that we are hearing that's happening. In fact, like there was a recent study which talks about 75% of the knowledge workers, and how we define knowledge workers are every worker who's using a computer or a laptop or some digital device to work on. Like they're not working on the shop floor of a factory. So 75% of the knowledge workers are using AI at work today in some form or the other. Whether it's Google Gemini or ChatGPT or something else. And at the same time, there are about 45% of executives that are currently not believing in investing in AI tools and products for their employees. So it's not an organizational spend that is happening, while individual workers are pretty much attracted to using AI. And this seems like a bit of a conundrum where it's a change happening on the like workers are thinking that it will help their productivity while the organizations are still catching up. So on this front, and specifically from a capability and culture shift point of view, I just wanted to touch upon like what are your suggestions to organizations to ensure now that even if they are not changing, the world is changing on them, that every employee of their company is ready for the AI first world, from the entry level employee right up till leadership.
So see, I'm actually a student of change, right? How organizations change, and this is it's an opportunity of a lifetime, purely because this kind of a shift which happened in November of 2022 really does not come across. I mean, one does not come across these kind of changes in most lifetimes. So I think we're very lucky to actually see this. my sense, and again, I'm going to go ahead and temper this with some amount of vulnerability here. I am only one person. It's only my perspective. Okay. So this does not constitute professional advice. In case you need professional advice, engage a consultant. Okay. But more, but seriously on this one, I'm sensing that organizations are going to go ahead and approach it in one of the three ways. Okay. The first way is that this is a fad. This isn't going to go ahead and last for very long. So we will go ahead and keep doing what we have been doing all this while. Okay. The second is that, look, we want to be cautious. We understand that this is something shifting underneath our feet. We don't know what it is, but we are being cautious about it. We'll keep our eyes and ears open. But at the same time, we'll not change too much. Right? We'll change wherever we are being pushed and wherever we are hearing a McKinsey or a Deloitte or a KPMG come in and tell us that these things need to happen. The third group, the third way is that, look, everything is going to change. Okay, this is a very good time to actually go ahead and rethink our business model. And I think this is an important thing to understand, that the capability question is really not an isolated question. The question really stems from, does this fundamentally alter the business model that we have in our respective organizations? And the jury could be, the jury could say, yes, it is. The jury could say, no, it is not. That's one angle to it. The second angle around capability is that a lot of questions that I'm hearing, and Ritik, I did read your question on this as well. A lot of question is around the relative fear of this technology. And fear not in the sense of Skynet and Terminator 3, fear more from a point of view of what does it do to my job, right? I think this is one thing that I think every organization should start doing now, which is create a sense of empathy and create a sense of awareness. Because when you don't know something, it seems to be more a thing to be afraid of. Okay, so irrespective of which of the three models you actually choose or your organization is choosing, you don't want to change, you want to change whatever, right? The foundational piece really is to start building building empathy around what this beast is all about. Okay. The second piece, and this is important, is that, and I'm going back sort of to your point about the two data points that you mentioned about CEOs versus workers, right? Today, I think I would basically go ahead and say about 95% of people in the workplace, knowledge workers, are using one or the other form of generative AI. Okay. They're deriving a lot of advantage, a lot of personal productivity. They're deriving a lot of time advantage from that usage. And they're not declaring it because they know that the moment they declare it, people are going to go ahead and give them more work. Okay. So it's important to kind of understand where people are emotionally. Right. And what exactly is it that they're kind of sensing? They're sensing that, look, generative AI would mean more work for me. Okay. That's one. I don't know whether generative AI is going to take away my job. And look, let me kind of give you my perspective on that. My 2 cents is very simple. In the value chain of work, any new technology that allows you to go ahead and occupy a greater portion of the value chain should be something that you should try and capture. Okay, and I posted something on the chat as well, right? There are going to be 2 types of people. One type of people would be people who would basically use this to their advantage in the short term. Somebody was referring to as laziness. And the other type of people would potentially figure out what's the value chain that they occupy, the value chain of work that they occupy, and how can they use a generative AI tool or any tool, any technology tool similar to that, to actually occupy more of that value chain and create greater value. And believe me, when I say this, when you create greater value in your work, you will never be threatened about the work. So I'm going to go ahead and shut up now. Okay.
No, makes sense. Makes a lot of sense. Just if I have to just ask a follow-up question to you, right? So when you talk about capability development, I think all your points are very well taken. But from an organization point of view, the skills that the organizations have today may not be sufficient for them for success 5 years down the line. Like it's as I said, things are changing on us, even if we are not changing as individuals or as companies. So any quick 2 cents in terms of like how should organizations plan for the future, look forward and think about the skill gaps that may emerge because of the advent of and more and more advent of Gen AI as we roll along, and what should be done in terms of skill building, capability building, just to keep pace with the changing times?
I think, look, and this is not a Gen AI specific question, right? This is really a question that is contingent on shorter business cycles. Okay, as when I was young, we had this movie called Qayamat Se Qayamat Tak, also called QSQT, right? It became Quarter Se Quarter Tak. That's how businesses survive today, right? From a quarter to a quarter. It's important to understand that as your business cycles are reducing, there are two things that are not happening anymore. You don't have any long-term vision of what skills you need today and you don't have, or what skills you will need tomorrow. Okay.
Yep.
Lesser and lesser focus is kind of going on that. And Gen AI is just one. It may be the last straw that will break the camel's back, but so be it, right? That's how things are. In terms of, and I keep talking about these things as macro capability trends, right? And three macro capability trends are as follows in my and from my lens, right? And again, my lens may be relevant because I run capability. I'm an administrator for current and future capabilities for a very large, multi-billion-dollar organization. The first trend, very clearly, is autonomy, which is the freedom to learn where you can learn or where you want to learn. There is no need for prescription anymore because there is not a single domain in most organizations. There's not a single domain where the center of gravity of that domain lies within the organization. Okay, so that's one. The second is really this whole piece of, learning what you want rather than what is being prescribed. Okay, so there has to be freedom to kind of go ahead and learn about a particular topic in a way that you want. Learning pathways that are, corporate design learning pathways may or may not always have utility. Okay, there's marginal utility today because certain spaces you're coming in fresh. Like for example, for Gen AI, you come in fresh, so it's important to kind of give you some structure, right? And the third piece really is to actually make sure that people understand that everything has to be applicable. That there's no learning for learning's sake. If you go and if you bake these three trends into whatever your strategies around capability building, right? You test people for learnability, the ability to kind of go ahead and be curious about something and be able to kind of switch or pivot, as they say in the startup space. Because look, human capabilities are really that. They are capability pivots, right? You go from some people on this call would have done engineering and then they suddenly switched on to another career. Similarly, for the panelists here, we've all done that, right?
Yep.
So I think it's these pieces that need to be built into your capability strategy, rather than figuring out what skills you need today versus what skills you need tomorrow. It's better that you actually have these trends baked in, and that will make sure that you're future-proof.
Got it. Thank you so much, Sachin. So I would like to end this discussion with something interesting that you are using, all of you are using today, as in terms of the AI tool and in your own personal capacity to boost the productivity as some of the biggest leaders in your respective organizations. It'll be good to know, like, what are those tools and solutions that you have adopted in your own work. That will be a good thing to know. Vishal, what is your favorite AI tool?
See, as of now, none, because we in the telecom we have a petabyte of data, terabyte of data, a lot of business algorithms is there.
Yeah.
So, but I do understand, if you a lot of question also, I would like to answer those questions. If you see, this is the evaluation, why Gen AI? Because before the Gen AI, we got the capability to processing the high volume data with the distributed processing. If you see the era of 2010, 2012, there is a big data era. Now, world got empowered with the processing the high volume data, so that now you give a lot of data to make the sense of the data. So it's evaluation. I know, I do understand all the repetitive work will be done by Gen AI. So we are exploring because we need someone in terms of data which can implement our business logic. We can write some code because in very big organization there is a heterogeneous databases. There is no one such database in the world, right? One such UI. So it will take some time. We have a lot of PDFs. There is no as such product in the world which can answer a PDF question, Gen AI, right? So it's a kind of still evaluation, but it will take some time, but it will get matured as organizations start using. But it's very early, which we can comment it will take the job or anything else. But as of now, we are not using any tool. We are trying to build some tool which can help in the data analytics, basically,
Understood.
So still, because see, human, again, Gen AI, we are the human, we are going to brain to the computers, right? So we are always upper hand. So
Yeah.
I don't think there's any apprehension. But yes, if you are doing any repetitive task, we have to be careful that Gen AI is going to kill in the next 3-4 years. That's for sure.
Totally.
Yeah.
Tisha, is there any other any AI tool that you are using personally?
So personally, I'm using a lot of AI, and I think a lot of us use it, and now we understand. I, of course, use Chat GPT a lot in terms of writing, in terms of analysis, in terms of bouncing off ideas, or rephrasing, or sharpening my resume, for example. A lot of things, I use my, iPhone gets. So, like Jitendra said, there is a lot of productivity unlock at a personal level due to all the AI tools. ChatGPT definitely is there. You don't have to insert your password anymore into your phone. You just bring it in front of your face. Your phone unlocks. There is Siri to help book a cab or do anything else that I need to do. Give me a recipe, give me a homework for my kid. I'm asking ChatGPT to make worksheets for my child because, I have to keep him engaged. So Google Maps, of course, is getting better and better and is suggesting more and more in every aspect. So I think, there is a convergence of technology, AI tools into our daily lives, into our professional lives. There is an unleash of productivity into our professional and personal lives, and professionally also, including other organizations, including my organization, are building their own analytical tools and platforms to use customer data in a way to unleash value, right? So for,
Awesome.
I cannot name the tools, but yes, professionally it is happening. Personally, we are using technology so much more. And one thing I would like to say to everyone is that embrace more. I think the crux of what all the panelists and yourself here you've said on this call is to learn, to upskill, to, understand AI more and develop skill as much as possible, because that's something that's going to help us in the coming years.
Totally, 100% agree with you. Jitendra, what is your favorite AI tool?
So as Tisha said, I think I'll build on that. So as a company, we are not allowed to use open source because you never know unintended consequence of that. I think there were some cases in the early days, so we have a strict no on any open source tool or anything which is directly going on the net, and then you are responding. I mean, getting a response from there. Yes, we do have access to let's say GPT-like tool on the net, but with a very good restriction out there. So we use for only search and related activity, more on the research side of it. But yes, internally we do use Copilot and other things, and the tools which we have developed for simplifying our workflow. So it started with internal productivity, where we are doing code review, or where we are doing research work and paraphrasing, or even simple spell check. I think Trisha will agree on contact center side, when you have a chat support happening to your customer, the agents are not that proficient, right? So without intruding into customer world, right, or disturbing anything, if you are just allowing that chat to pass through a kind of a engine which is just testing the quality of message, or rephrasing it, or a spell check or grammar check, I think those are the low hanging things. We are able to do it quickly. But yes, the one which is little bit more intrusive, we have kind of more safeguards and then checks and balances around that.
Yeah. Ultimately, it's very evident. Data security, ethics, all those things need to mature and shape up a little more before it grows. How about you, Sachin?
One thing more, Saurabh, I would like to add, Jitendra. So your organization, because there are two ways you can use the chat GPT. Either you can use their browser, share the data, or getting the infrastructure, the chat GPT servers, it's a very expensive. So there is one thing we don't have much apprehension. Getting the infrastructure is not an easy, it's a very expensive in my opinion. So a lot of things, a organization will not allow to share the open data to their browser, or otherwise you have to install the ChatGPT infrastructure. It's very expensive. So
Right.
a very few companies can afford the infrastructure, the ChatGPT, that kind of infrastructure.
Yep.
So tons of data you have to pre-train. So processing tons of data, you need a different dedicated infrastructure. That is expensive. Yeah, please go on. Yeah.
Yeah, just wanted to check with Sachin.
Look, I mean, I believe that you can only have perspective when you have experience. Okay, so if you have not experienced it, you can't really have perspective. I potentially divide my usage of LLMs or GPTs into professional and personal. Professionally, lot of Chat GPT, but for higher order work.
Okay.
So I'm using ChatGPT to actually go ahead and figure out my business decisions and how can they be more valid and less risky. Okay. On the other hand, in terms of just general productivity, Copilot works absolutely well. Okay.
Yeah.
So Copilot is a fantastic tool to actually go ahead and help you, especially if you're analyzing a complex financial spreadsheet. It just gives you the nuts and bolts of it very, very quickly. Personally, Notion AI. So Notion is where I go and where I make notes. Absolutely fantastic, right? I will strongly recommend. And I've been very, I've been very curious about how image or multimodal GPTs work. And that's where I started using, Midjourney when it was still on the Discord server. But I now use Midjourney as a new light website. But that's my favorite thing. And my interest there is to actually go ahead and understand the power of prompting, which is what should I go ahead and say in natural language, and what does it mean to the machine, and how does the output get created? So that's my interest on the personal space.
Yeah. I'll definitely go and check that out. Notion.ai, Notion AI. That's what you said, right? Yeah. Cool. I think that is it. It was an amazing discussion. Thank you, Trisha, Jitendra, Sachin, Vishal, all of you. You've been very candid, very direct. Like, you touched upon some of the things that you're doing at your respective companies, also personally. Absolutely love the discussion, and I think it is now time that we take a few questions from the audience as well. I know many of you have been responding to the chat messages, but I'll pass it on to Sharmishta to just moderate a quick Q&A session for us.
Sure.
Thank you so much. Yeah.
Before I move to question answer round, I would really like to thank you all. That was incredibly thought-provoking discussion, and you have certainly given us a lot to consider through this. And okay, we will start our Q&A session. Audience, this is your chance to interact directly with our experts and get your questions answered. So please continue to submit your questions in the chat box. As I can already see that our speakers have already started answering the questions. So let me go to the first question, that is from Sambhav. So Sambhav has put a question for Vishal and Trisha, that what is your view on the recent technical layoffs? They are related to GenAI advances that has came to mainstream. So Vishal, Trisha.
Yeah. So yes, for me, yes, because I do understand the company like Google, the Facebook, they are very smart. They are playing with the technology. They know how to automate the clerical task, the mundane task. They are smart enough. So I believe so automation is going there. As I said earlier, human are intelligent enough. They know how to train the clerical task, retire the clerical task. I believe this is the major impact, and it is going to happen. It's also going to happen for the outsourcing companies. So in the next 3-4 years, I think so. Yes, to be honest with you. Yes.
I agree. I think I completely agree with Vishal. And this, I mean, the outburst of Gen AI began with the fact that a lot of manual work can get automated. It's as simple as that. However, I will put in a word of caution that when we talk about manual work, we also think it to be a very simple work. Often it is not so. For most of us, Jitendra, you would know, we are in a services company. Accounts payable and invoice processing seems to be the most manual level 1 activity in finance and accounting domain, and it has the most disparate processes across the world. The most non-standardized process across the world are in accounts payable, and there is no, whether it is Accenture or it is WNS or it is Genpact, none of us can stand tall and say that, you know what, we can totally automate this work because it's manual. Because no, it's manual, agreed. It's not simple, it is not standard, it is not clean. So not all manual work is getting automated. However, large tech companies, like Vishal said, and many other organizations, wherever they will find productivity, will release headcount and create broader value. And that is a challenge that we will continue to face. That is the truth of the day. So, and that's that actually.
Thank you, Trisha. Thank you, Vishal. We have our next question from Rana. In your can GenAI impact or empower L&D functions to achieve core business outcomes that they aim for, and how? Create a talent pool at the enterprise level, activate your bench resources, project deployable, billability. Rana, would you like to unmute yourself and ask this question?
Yeah, hi, Samishta, this is Rana. And thank you so much for this lovely panel. Actually, my question is mostly, I think that the Gen AI has affected the critical function of the tech, right? I think a lot of coder, developer, they are using this Gen AI tool, maximum to, take out the advantage. But how this can also go to the different functional level from the sales, L&D, HR, and how do you see this impact where we can see maybe how soon we can see these impact? So I think that is where my question is to the panel.
I would like to answer. So see, think about a world where someone folks are more than 20 or 30 years experience of the sales. And if you replicate the brain of those sales veteran, those marketing veteran, and then you can make with those data, with those training, you can help them to orchestrate the business. So yes, Gen AI has the capability, or AI has the capability to processing the lot of data. We can replicate. I know how to replicate the brain of a software sales guy 20 years with the data, with the different demographics data. So this is going to happen. But to be honest with you guys, if I process a lot of data, I have the ability to create the training model to get the sense of the data. So going forward, I believe we are going to automate the decision-making system. AI will going to help to orchestrate the business. It's going to have not 1 year, 2 year. So it's evaluation. Mobile started with that after landline pager, but now see the evaluation of the mobile 4G, 5G. It will happen going forward, but yes, it's going to happen. AI is going to help you with the orchestrate the business, but only with the help of human intelligence, with the sales veteran. Without human intelligence, it can't do anything. Yeah, that's my answer. Yeah, over to you. Yeah.
No, I mean, I actually typed out 2 quotes that I find very interesting whenever we speak about AI. One of them is that the future is already here. It is just unevenly distributed. This is from Gibson's book, Neuromancer. And this is so true, just because we don't really know how things are changing, say, in sales or in supply chain or in finance. That doesn't mean that generative AI and its impact is not already being felt in those spaces. So that's point number 1. Point number 2, I think we also, the second quote was that we overestimate what can be done in a year and we underestimate what can be done in 10 years. Okay. And this is important because we today going ahead and responding to something which has been in existence for about a year and a half, give or take. Okay. This isn't in any which way the final version or the final impact of Gen AI. It's only starting, and I think Vishal mentioned this, right? Just like the whole mobile phone thing, right? You started with pagers, and then you started, getting into more advanced technologies. So my thinking is this: that look, this is going to go ahead and have far-reaching impact across every part of business and personal life. let me kind of go and democratize this, right? How much is only a function of the only thing that's limiting the impact is really our own imagination. That's how seminal this technology is. So I'm going to go ahead and leave it at that without actually getting into the specifics.
Thank you. Thanks so much, Ben.
Thank you, everyone. We'll move to the next question. So our next question is from Mohammed Qasim. I think we have already touched upon this question, but so the question is, how can AI be used to drive business transformation in various industries? So maybe we can briefly discuss about your respective industries.
So I'll actually just kind of point out, I think business transformation is just another business process. Okay, what used to happen once every 3 years, 4 years, 5 years is now something that the businesses now run as a continuous process. You're continuously transforming yourself. I think through everything through all the phases of the transformation, whether it is the design of the transformation, whether it is the testing, the piloting of the transformation, whether it is the change management around transformation, all of these phases can actually go ahead and leverage GenAI tool. And what you do is you save a lot of cost that you would incur in terms of engaging an external consultant. Your time to market or speed to market is significantly enhanced. So, I mean, I would go ahead and say that, again, like I said before, the only thing limiting our use of these technologies in the space of digital transformation is also our own imagination.
And if I can add to what Sachin said, and being a business transformation person, business transformation is nothing but removing inefficiencies and wastes from your processes. Whatever you are doing, it can be finance and accounting, it can be contact center, it can be supply chain, but understanding where the problem is, what the inefficiency is, where the delay is, and looking at straightforward ways of reducing it is business transformation. We were earlier doing it through Six Sigma, through Lean, and now we have generative AI tools, we have language models, we have different analytical suites to look into our queries. And that's what, there is a lot of data, there is a lot of democratization of data globally, not just in services company, but everywhere, in every industry. And that's where business transformations are happening. And while our discussion is focused largely on the tech workforce, but take a minute and relook at business transformation that's happening due to data democratization in country like ours. Farmers are using this data and intelligence, fisheries are using it. Look at e-commerce. Whatever e-commerce site you go to, like I use Myntra, for example. If I go to Myntra and I want to buy something which is specific, let's say, I want to buy a business suit for a conference, there is a assistant, there is AI, it is actually AI tool where you say, whatever the AI assistant's name is, Myra, I think, or whatever it is. You just say, you don't even type anymore. You just say, can you find me a black business suit for a conference and make sure it is usable in summer? Okay, you put that, it will give you 20 options. You do that while you're walking. If that is not e-commerce transformation, what is, right? So this is how business transformation is happening across industries. Even Paytm is a huge example of transformation, of being cashless as an economy, or walking anywhere with your phone and making a payment. That's huge transformation that we witnessed in our lifetimes, right?
Absolutely. Thank you, Trisha. Thank you, Sachin. So we are nearing the end of our allocated time. We will be able to take one last question. So we have a question from Vikas. That is, as per my understanding about AI or Gen AI, there is always a requirement of human touch on the responses generated by Gen AI. Want to have an opinion from the panelists on the same. Jitendra, would you like to shed some light on this? You're on mute.
I missed that. Can you repeat, sir, Mr.?
Sure. So he's saying, as per my understanding about AI or Gen AI, there is always a requirement of a human touch on the responses generated by Gen AI. Want to have an opinion of yours on this?
I think it's absolutely right. Whoever has posed this question, as on today, as somebody said, so maybe I'll put maybe a framework to it, right? So when you write any program or a HTML code, you know what will be rendered or what will be the outcome given the input. That we call it deterministic model or deterministic program. What we are dealing with in LLM or large language model or generative AI is a probabilistic or a stochastic basically program, right? What does it mean? If you can change the temperature, there is a parameter which increases the uncertainty, which is called temperature in LLM models. Right? So if you can increase and decrease, so basically you are not sure of the exact outcome you are going to get given the exact same input. And hence you cannot risk of letting go things directly to the customer. So to start with, at least I would say in next 3-5 years for sure, we are always designing human in the loop solution where whatever is getting pushed to the customer directly, it is moderated by a human before it goes out, right? When you are using it for more like information gathering or things like that, where you are really not asking it to generate something completely new, there the risk is low, which example quoted, rephrasing of maybe content grammatically or otherwise, spell check and those things, there your risk is less of getting something unplanned, right? So there you can allow to have a lesser control, but otherwise it's almost given that companies are not allowing us to have a direct push. It's always human in the loop approach.
Absolutely. Your views on this, Vishal?
Yeah, so for me, a computer doesn't have the brain. So finally, we human are going to train the computer. So no fear at all. So because every computer doesn't have the brain, so human touch always be there. Our intelligence will only make them intelligent. We are going to enable the computer. We are going to enable the computer to make them intelligent. So no worries at all. Yeah.
The only thing I'll point out is that the time frame. So this human in the loop piece, and Jitin, completely agree with you. In fact, I was thinking I'd disagree with you to begin with, but then I realized what you were saying in this language. But I think one thing that we have to understand is that the time that it has taken traditional technologies to actually go ahead and come to a point wherein it was worthy enough to be human or worthy enough to be equivalent to a human, this technology is going to take far lesser time. For example, today when you look at the machine learning models that run within the ADAS of your car, there's no human in the loop. Nobody is checking when the car is asking you to go ahead and brake. So I just want everybody to understand that the human beings inherently do not understand the exponential law, okay, or the law of exponentials, which is how does exponential growth happen? And it's important for us to understand that. And I'm only saying this because I want to, just instill a little bit of curiosity about this. Things are not going to be that slow. Things are going to be really, really fast. And you're already seeing it. The Swiggy chat today is completely automated. There is absolutely zero human intervention when you go and ask for a refund. The chat determines how much refund. Okay, and look, this is human beings, Indians, and money. And you can't get into a more complicated situation, for an artificial intelligence. So I want to call that out because it's important to understand that human in the loop is something that organizations will start with, but very quickly they will realize that the solutions that will be provided are very, very good, very good. Okay, autonomous driving is another example. I mean, you can today drive from San Francisco to San Jose without, putting your hand on the steering wheel. Obviously, you can argue and say that this is not happening in India, and I would agree. But I'll leave it at that. Right.
So, Sachin, Vishal, like, if I have to just ask one curious question. So, and coming to you, Sachin, like, it's going to evolve very, very fast. So, do you see a time, sometime in the near future, when some of the sensitive and risky decisions will be made by machines? Like, for example, I go to a bank, or I hop onto a bank website and on the chat bot, I just say that I want a 1 CR home loan. And will the machine be able to assess my credit worthiness and my payment capacity and so on and so forth, and be able to make a decision on its own without humans being in loop?
But Saurav, I don't know why you were even asking the question. Since 1976, FICO scores in the US have always been automated. 76, not today. Since 1976, FICO scores, which are the fundamental credit rating in the US, are all automated. There's no human in the loop.
Okay.
So yeah. So look, and that's potentially an easier one. I think the difficult one really would be when you would allow machines to actually go ahead and tell you what is the folding, what is the tertiary folding for a protein, so that you can go ahead and make a biological drug out of it. That's going to be tricky. That's still not done, but we're very close. AlphaFold 3 is very, very close to that.
Got it.
So Saurabh, I think I would only add what Sachin said, that when you take a business decision, it's not only based on the parameters, what you have already defined, basis which model is working on. Sometimes you also consider other factors which probably was not accounted while building the model. And that's where it's a kind of a ever evolving situation. But yes, many things we have already automated. What kind of recommendation you get on a Flipkart or Amazon website is all automated. Nobody is intervening in that at that scale, right? So yes, there are some tasks which we are already in autopilot mode, but there are some tasks where you bring in other elements of your business decisioning, and hence you always keep human in the loop, or the risk involved on the other side if you do not control it. That's also a key factor.
Makes a lot of sense.
So basically, sort of last line, the evaluation. As a human, you write the code, you do the iteration, make it right. So similarly, you are going to make the training right, model right, so that it can also going forward, you can take over the risk as well. So basically, we are building this system, right? We are building the car to move without a driver. So with a human, we are going to change the training model, make it the training model more right with the more data, with our learning. It's a iteration process, it's evaluation. But yes, going forward, a human will want to achieve the 100% correct thing. That's how the tendency brain of the human works. So that's what I think, it's an evaluation process. Yeah.
Sorry, one last question from my side. From an industry standpoint, is pharmaceutical adopting GenAI more frequently than other industries?
I can't.
Or
I mean,
which
I'm
industry?
assuming the question is directed to me.
So then I was asking.
Without taking name, probably I'll try to answer. So answer is yes. Probably healthcare industry is at the forefront of adopting AI or technology. It's just that which leg of the maybe let's say decision making or the process you are talking about. But yes, at least I can tell you from a research perspective or for clinical trial perspective or many other areas of their business operation. I think AI is helping probably the most in industry. Probably it will be healthcare.
Yeah. Fantastic. I mean, I'll kind of second that. I think the two places, drug discovery and development, is a very, very important part because it's a very expensive part of the overall industry, right? An average blockbuster requires you to put in about $1 billion over a 10-year period to actually get something which is worth value in the market, provided your patent holds, right? That's the other thing. So I think this piece is really the one thing that is going to be at the forefront in terms of using it. However, the challenge is this. The challenge always is that for you to go ahead and create domain models, which are different from foundational models, and I want to differentiate it. Jiten is already nodding, so I know he gets it. But foundational models are, so ChatGPT is a foundational model. Okay. But when you start looking at domain models are extremely, extremely difficult to train because most of the domain data is confidential. Okay. The second thing is it's extremely expensive to go ahead and do it. Okay. So for you to go ahead and get a trillion token model trained, I don't even know what that number would be. How much money you potentially need? About $100 million just to train that model. Leave aside the cost that it'll be for you to acquire the data. Okay, so yes, the domain models are extremely, effort and resource intensive, but it is also something that will generate the most value for pharmaceuticals.
I'll only add, Sachin, what you said is right. I think I happened to listen somebody from Apollo in some other conference, and because they're already operating everything through their computers and network of computers rather, every patient data is logged into that, right? Of course, they have their manual records, but everything is in the computer as well. And now they are even monetizing this because they are collecting thousands and thousands of data points. Of course, they are not selling it, but they are using for the overall benefit of society, where now doctor is not only applying his own mind, but he's also taking help of AI to see the pattern. And probably AI is best in pattern reading, right? Anomaly detection and pattern reading. So yes, people are already using it.
Back to you, Saurabh.
Sharmishta, over to you.
Sure. I think just to conclude this, I think Gen AI is still yet to cope up with human emotions and empathy. So once that is done, I think that will be a great revolution. So thank you everyone for our time for this Q&A session has come to a close. Thank you for your participation in the Q&A session. It's really a pleasure to hear from you and to address all your inquiries. For me, a few key takeaways from the sessions are, first of all, AI will not eliminate, rather it will create new roles. Therefore, companies need to focus on upskilling their tech teams and elevate the learning curve to meet these emerging opportunities. Secondly, in a fast-paced tech landscape, technology teams must maintain adaptability in their AI roadmap while prioritizing ethical guidelines. Third point would be organizations should implement comprehensive training programs for employees at all levels and implement agile reskilling initiatives to prepare for the AI first world and minimize job displacement risk in the rapid AI development era. And lastly, I think tech teams can maximize AI assisted development or testing by integrating AI tools. AI capabilities should be strategically embedded across organizational functions. I'm certain you also found these points valuable, like me. We trust that today's webinar provided you with actionable insights that can be implemented within your organizations. Before we conclude, let's quickly have a glance at how Simplilearn is making a difference in transforming lives through digital skills empowerment. So Simplilearn is the world's leading digital skills provider, enabling learners across the globe. We are world's #1 online bootcamp for digital economy skills training. Our programs are designed and delivered with world's renowned universities, top corporations, and leading industry bodies via live online classes, featuring top industry practitioners, sought after trainers, and global leaders. In our slides, you can already see, so our commitment to excellence is reflected in our impressive track record, serving 100 Fortune Plus clients across more than 150 countries. Additionally, our learners boast an outstanding 80% graduation rate, with 90% achieving their learning objectives. We are trusted by top organizations like Bosch, Accenture, Dell, and many more. We are also backed by top investors like Blackstone and GSV Ventures. At Simplilearn, we provide cutting-edge content across a range of AI skills and a set of content specific to today's topic that we deliver across our AI ML engineer, essentials of Gen AI, applied Gen AI specialization, data engineering, Gen AI for software engineers, and many more. We also have programs and curriculums co-created with top universities and organizations like Purdue University, Caltech, Microsoft, AWS. Okay, now we will move to our next slide. Now, as a token of our gratitude to all our attendees, we are excited to announce an exclusive 3-month free trial offer for our online learning library, Simplilearn Learning Hub, to all our attendees. Simplilearn Learning Hub is your comprehensive AI and digital skilling library designed to empower your workforce with unlimited learning opportunities. With our Learning Hub, your team will gain access to an extensive array of resources, including 400 plus on-demand courses, covering areas such as AI, data, cloud, digital operations, and many more. You can sign up for your free trial of Simplilearn Learning Hub. If you have any further question or need any additional information, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. I have also shared my mail with you. My email address is mentioned in the slide. Feel free to reach out for Simplilearn Learning Hub free trial. Okay. Gavish, you can stop sharing. So now, on behalf of everyone at Simplilearn, I would like to extend our heartfelt gratitude to our esteemed speakers for being an integral part of this webinar and for sharing their valuable insights with us. Lastly, a big thank you to all our attendees. We really appreciate your participation and engagement. And with this,
Thank you.
we also look forward to seeing you at our future events. Have a great day. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank
Thank
you.
you everyone for your
Thank you,
time.
everyone.
Thank you so much.